Chapter 48. Defeat of Indra. Om Sri Ganeshae Namaha. Gurtsamada continued the narration. Seeing thus, an enraged Devendra rained a barrage of arrows on the army of Tarkasura. Due to the power of these arrows, consecrated with mantras, the Daitya camp suffered immensely and was deeply distressed. The leader of the Daitya army prepared for assault and shot arrows at the army of Devas. Many of the warriors of Devas were killed, several of whom were mutilated on the battlefield. Rivers of blood flowed. Devas fled in fear. During times of dissolution, there is no redeemer for subjects. Such was the position of Devas. There was no savior. Seeing their plight, Agni, Dharma, and other Devas showered a barrage of arrows as a last resort. Many Daityas were mutilated and many were killed. The cruel Taraka was infuriated and released a terrifying arrow at Indra. He had drawn an arrow stretching to his ears, and when he released it, it struck Indra in his heart. The injury to his vital organ rendered him unconscious. But in a moment, he regained consciousness, picked up his vajra, and struck the chief of Daityas. Tarkasura fell to the ground unconscious, fatally wounded. In a similar manner, Varuna, Agni, Vayu, Dharma, and Kubera killed and mutilated many Daityas on the battlefield. There was an uproar in the Daitya army. They fled in different directions. Thereafter, Shukracharya re-energized the unconscious Tarkasura and others using the power of mantras. Tarkasura consecrated an arrow with the Agni mantra, released the inflammable arrow with ferocity. When it fell on the battlefield, an Agni Purusha emerged and consumed all Devas. His might was like the fire of dissolution. The flames that scorched the Devas spread everywhere. He was formidable and comparable to Meru and Mandara mountains. The flames burnt the Devas and their vehicles too. There was an uproar in the army of Devas. The Devas ran in all directions, but Agni Purusha chased them with the intention of consuming them. This sight made Indra furious and he released the Varunastra. This resulted in torrential rains and the colossal fires were extinguished. Varunastra extinguished the flames and the Agni Purusha fell on the battlefield. Devaganas were alerted to the event of torrential downpour. The powerful Daityas were thrashed. Some Daityas were burnt from the lightning and some were drowned with their vehicles and carried by massive floods. In this manner, the Varuna Astra wreaked havoc on Daityas. They embraced death. To protect the Asuras from Varunastra, a furious Tarkasura, his eyes blood red with rage, released the Vayavya Astra, the celestial weapon of Vayu, the wind god. It caused violent winds to blow. It consumed the Varunastra and completely destroyed it. The mighty armies of Devas lost their balance and were sent flying in the skies like dried leaves. Just then the frightful Tarkasura, armed with a sword, advanced towards Indra. He injured Indra with the sword and rendered him unconscious. Tarkasura picked up the unconscious Indra and carried him on his shoulders and returned along with his army. He tied Indra with a noose and presented him to Madasura. Devas were orphaned without a leader. The army of the Devas fled in fear. Seizing the opportunity, Tarkasura clubbed Yama on his chest, rendering him unconscious. He carried him to the army camp and celebrated in the same manner. He also captured Agni and other Devas. The mighty Daityas took this opportunity and assaulted the Devas, and the orphaned Deva army fled in all directions. The Daityendras proclaimed victory with great delight and festivities. The terrified Devas sought refuge with Shankara. Thus ends the 48th chapter titled The Defeat of Indra in the second Khanda of the Purana Upanishad, Srimad Mudgal Puran, describing the legends of Ekadanta, dedicated to Sri Gajanana. End of chapter 48.